a little bit about politics. So there's this woman running for Congress in Colorado. I don't know if the ads are trustworthy, but she apparently she arms embargo. What? Universal child care, using the children like I always fucking talk about. Housing first, Medicare for all. She's what they're saying is she wants to defund the police, abolish the Senate, which, when you have less cops, you tend to have better cops. They become more proprietary and honorable. But then crime rates typically rise. Abolish the Senate? What? And what's the third thing? She wants a fucking arms embargo? Am I remembering what that word means? Because I'm pretty sure it means overtaxation and stopping movement of trade ships. Yeah, and Winchester, their main manufacturing is done in, I think, Poland. That would destroy like so much industry for firearms. That would mean that America would, like, firearms would just skyrocket in price. She's setting us up for a fucking invasion. And she just shows up. She's lived here a year, it said. What the fuck are you doing running for Senate? Milat is a lawyer, PhD, and Democratic socialist. Fucking socialist. I'm all for, defending kids, but, like, I've been talking about this for a long time, that, like, people are pumped into Colorado, and the children are always being used as a political weapon for dramatic change. Like, but none of that money ever goes to the children. They're always suffering. Every other year, the children are always suffering. This would be an underpinning political strategy to provide more sanctuary and insurgency. That's what it is. I can see right through her eyes. So fucking obvious. Get involved. Priorities. End all wars. At 30 billion, our tax dollars have funded what nearly every human rights organization in the world, including the United Nations, has called a genocide in Palestine. The United States is not committing genocide. Today, 75% of Democrats want to end all military aid, but our representatives aren't listening for human rights and listen to their constituents. So yeah, it's an insurgency. Like, I don't care about healthcare for everybody, but using these political manipulations, they just use that to manipulate empathy. And abolish ICE. Safe, stable housing is one of the strongest predictors of long-term health, educational attainment, and economic mobility. Over 770,000 people experience homelessness on any given night in the U.S. Always sit idly by with the resources to end it tenfold. Yeah, she's a socialist. It's all nice idealism. One of my old sayings was, and it's listed here, tax the rich. One of my old sayings was tax the rich, save our poor, love the minds, and free this world. I outgrew that naivety because overpopulation can stimulate through these needs and resources, and we just keep replicating these faults. Like, once you start stimulating the ability to reproduce, what do you think is going to happen? There's not going to be enough to go around, and we have to accept the fact that, like, resources are unlimited. Fusion's coming, but uh, I don't think humanity's ready for free energy yet. Like, I invented cyclic mass, and I studied the philosophy on it for years to make sure that I wasn't being stupid. Because, I wrote that allegory of uh, what happens to a society when we allow unnatural success. Can humanity reach a point basically where we aren't able to retrace our steps and we collapse? And the pyramids, too, are some of the concepts I use. For the pyramids, like, a lot of people can't figure out how the hell they were built. I have my theories. I figured out how you could build one, and I traced an internal well back to a South American pyramid. I think the Mayans built, if I remember it. I always get the Aztecs and Mayans mixed up for some reason. The southern one, and it was off the Amazon, and they routed a water network under this pyramid. There was no reason to build a pyramid for a well. Why would you do that? Unless there's traces of flooding. Check that. No. And the internal well is the most efficient way that I could conceive of building a pyramid with the most resources and efficiency. And so that philosophical allegory for, like, we can lead ourselves into just the same flaws, and then we just keep repeating these processes, and you have to wonder what the hell we're working towards. And, my God. Gun violence prevention, let's see. Universal background checks. More background checks that are being used to fund more gun control. Red flag laws. Wanted to buy a rifle. It just happened to be a German Mauser in 30-06. Very similar rifle to the guy that killed Charlie Kirk. I went the next day after he was murdered because my father just got out of the hospital, and I was harassed by the employment at the gun store that I bought my first handgun. Every single employee talked to me, and there were other customers that came in and around. None of them fucking talked to me. To the other customers. It was always just one person. I was red flagged, profiled, and harassed. And this guy with this fucking ponytail who thinks that he's like this fucking diva of righteousness. Like, as soon as I walked in the door checking for red flags, I heard him say that. It's bullshit. My family helped write the fucking Constitution. Ban assault weapons, high capacity magazines, so you want to leave people vulnerable for self-defense. Have an assault weapons ban and a prohibition on high capacity magazines would reduce the lethality of mass shootings and have no legitimate sporting or self-defense justification at the scale we are discussing. She's been here a year. So I'm just gonna stop reading it. This woman, she has no place in this fucking state as a political body. Like I am a big. I wonder how long she's been here. Doesn't say. Anyway, I'm a firm believer that immigrants should have to wait at least 3 generations to be able to run for political body. That you need to dissect because it goes to the root structure of like racism and stuff, and how also the philosophy of like generational change. Like the first generation builds a strong society, the second tries to uphold it, the third tries to break its lineage so that it can pave its own path, and then the fourth is finally uh, adapted, evolved, and integrated into society. And then the fifth is when it becomes a sort of natural moral change. And this all networks and variables so that then it takes like 2,000 years to implement a natural moral sense into a society. That's why we talk about Rome so much. And what's her PhD in? So to defend this like dramatic impulse that people have for desiring power, to desire use of power, because people that pursue power pursue to use it, that the most honorable people obtain power, they don't pursue it and they don't seek to use it, they just have it. And so God, it's gross. I don't know if I'm gonna go to town, but like people that immigrate to the United States, why do you want to be a citizen if you come here impulsively to vote and change what this country is? That's why it's an insurgency. That they're exploiting these loopholes in our system. And I'm not saying this is perfect. However, I don't think you should have the right to vote for at least 3 generations so that you can weed out the initial immigrant and then study the dynamics of the progression of the generations of immigrants to see who deserves the right to vote. Otherwise, you can have something called uh, democratic communism, democratic socialism. These concepts in politics, like true democracy, it's founded around pursuing to find leadership through a means of what it takes to survive I'm more of like a democratic pirate. You know, the way that they structured democracy. And the way that the ships survived and the way that the people succeeded was based around a fear structure. Though I don't believe in ruling through fear, it's too easy to overpopulate, and then you create this just self-collapsing paradox of democracy, and that people have the right to vote, so they seek to change things. They think that just because they have the right to vote, they need to change things. Uh, I don't give a shit if you're a PhD. I could have 5 fucking PhDs if I wanted them. I was trying to earn an honorary in physics. Because it's the most difficult way. And I deserve one, but I'm just not good at math. That's the thing. Like, I predicted conformal cyclic cosmology. I had no idea who Roger Penrose was. I should have an honorary PhD, but, and, I should be up for a Nobel Prize in my lifetime because of my theories and my painstaking rigor of study. But I don't have a perfect memory. Taxing the rich. You know, when I was poor and homeless, that's when I came up with that saying, tax the rich, save our poor, love the mind, and free the world. And Denver was having those uh, protests. It was simply because people wanted more. And what you want is what you see. But you are not capable of building what you want and desire and what you see in society. That's why we have to have this leadership and put power in the right hands. Okay, let's read about voting rights as I was talking about them. Democracy only works when every eligible voter can participate, and when the maps that determine representation reflect the will of the people, not the calculations of politicians trying to entrench their own power. Yeah, and what are you trying to pursue? You're not actually speaking directly. You're just trying to round out, just like fucking Joe Biden, that two talking motherfucker, just like Obama and that slogan of change. He never actually said what he would do, and he committed treason. For years, an organized effort has been underway to make it harder to vote. Yeah, you know why? It's because people like you just show up and think you deserve power. People come here, they pump in people, pump them out, and what do? They use children as victims to manipulate empathy, and taxes have skyrocketed in Colorado. I'm paying way too much in taxes. It's ridiculous. My food is overtaxed. Over $1 a day, right? Like, my budget is around 22. What? How much? What is my fucking budget? I can't do the math right now. My mind is full of thoughts. So I have a budget of 28.57 a day. Now I have to spend $30 in gas. So, like, it's not as powerful as it used to be. My buying power is almost the same as it relative to what it was in my early 20s. And like a dollar for an onion, $1.50 sometimes. You can't get small enough onions. So my budget's 24. Spend, 11, $12 on beer or gin or sake used to be that price. So that leaves me $12 for food per day. And I'm strategic about how I network all my money and expenditures, but I don't save any money anymore. I'm barely breaking even. In fact, sometimes I'm not breaking even, and it's allowing me to lose my freedom of choice to decide how to spend in my day, to have just a meal to look forward to. I live a very simple, humble life, and I don't take too much. The problem is that stores, when they sell less, they sell for more money. It's ridiculous. It's like I just want what I need, and so that other people too can take a little bit more or take what they need, and diversify their lives. That's the way I have always lived, and it benefits companies. But Albertsons, when they took over Safeway, they fucked the whole thing up. And I'm saying, like, these people could just show up and they think they deserve a right to change things. But then they don't stay here forever. Like, you're not willing to be homeless to be here. You're not willing to be suffering. Colorado is a hardcore place. I grew up learning how to survive here because I am willing to suffer here, to be homeless here. I've been homeless here many times. It's not fun. However, the only other places I've ever considered is like Montana or Missouri, so I could be by Silver Dollar City and ride roller coasters. They got some really cool old mills down there where they make handmade stone ground, old stone ground flowers and amazing bread. And there's an artistic town called Eureka Springs. The Ozarks are pretty awesome, but they're humid, they're full of bugs, and so I never moved there. And I've stayed here because I get less sick, but because of the cloud seeding, guess what? I've been getting lung infections again. Having trouble breathing again. For years, an organized effort has been underway to make it harder to vote. Good. Purging rolls, restricting early voting, closing polling places in communities of color. Yeah, how many fucking Chinese people are you gonna pump in till you gain the upper hand on the voting system? Do you want to live in China? Go to fucking China. You like that system so fucking much. These cultures, the way we are raised, defines our political views. Very rarely are people actually self aware and capable of understanding if we burn the Constitution, would you rewrite it? No other nation on the planet has written these freedoms that afford us these vulnerabilities. And you take and exploit them. Communities of color. Like I said, it's an insurgency. So I'm not racist by any means. I was hanging out with the Korean dude and the Mexican dude and watching the soccer game at the liquor store last night. We were all just joking around and having fun. Those guys are fun. You got to look at who the individual is and look at the cultural bisection and dissection and how they all formalize. And like, there's Asian communities. I grew up in a Czech community. We had a Polish community. And the Czechs and the Polacks did not like each other. The communities would just talk shit about one another. Uh, uh, there's a town called Schuyler that was overrun by Hispanics. That was an insurgency. So they took over management at the meatpacking factory, and they kicked out all the white people, pretty much everybody unless you had seniority, to be laid off. They were all laid off. Hispanics were being pumped in. They were sending money back home, shipping people. They took over the industry, the businesses downtown. There were slums that formed. A guy I grew up knowing, he used to rent a few houses, and very good guy. He was my martial arts master, and he would come and like inspect these homes, and they're only supposed to be rented by contract of a certain amount of people per surface area. There were literally 13 fucking people, he said, living in one tiny little room. Then they send money back home and they pumped more people in, and the town turned into slums. It fucking collapsed. Like the crime rate skyrocketed. The police, oh my god, just because of all the crime rate, transitioned into a very oppressive, over policed town. That's what happens when these people think that they belong somewhere. Now, I'm all for going wherever you want to go. I'm okay with that. But learn the culture before you go there. Figure out if you belong with those people. Learn their language, learn their laws. Like, benefit your surroundings, what you're trying to escape. And, I know what it feels like to need to escape. And like, it's just naivety. People just have this desire. They look around, they see stuff that they want, and they want to take it. I get that. I used to have a lot of fun. Well, I hated stealing, but I was very clever about it. I had fun at how clever I was when I needed something that I had to take. But I hated it. I hated stealing, and I don't steal anymore. I haven't stolen in years. The result is a Congress that does not reflect the country. No, it doesn't reflect your insight of your own culture. Because your culture doesn't reflect ours. That's why you get these embedded, implanted methods. Like, she sounds like a Manchurian candidate, honestly. There's extreme factions and wealthy few hold outsized power, and incumbents face no real accountability. Okay, why don't you raise the fucking army then? Hmm? You want a civil war? What do you want? Like, what is this power that you seek to use? What do you seek to use it for? Gun violence prevention. She seeks to limit our constitutional rights. End all wars. Used as a manipulation to say that you cannot uphold your own land. Insurgency. Immigration. I come from an immigrant family. I'm 50% Czech or Slovak. I don't really know. We just call us bohunks or Bohemians. It's a whole old network of Czechoslovakian era stuff. My grandparents on my mother's side immigrated in the early 1900s, worked very hard their entire lives. Very good people, some of the best people I've ever known in my entire life. They were amazing. I miss them every single day. I have no problem with immigrants. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm a philosopher that tried to figure out how to solve paradoxes to prevent hypocrisy. And I succeeded, for the most part. And that's why I pursue honesty. Like, it turned me basically into a knight. I would have a knighthood if I were British. And as an immigrant, a proud daughter of immigrants, immigration is a cornerstone of our national identity. You don't have a national identity because you don't understand the Constitution. You are literally trying to reduce its freedoms that afforded you the right to have those choices. The families who leave everything behind to seek a better life here in America embody the spirit of courage and resilience that used to be a fundamental value of our nation, your nation. My bloodline's on the Constitution, bitch. It is my nation, okay? But instead of honoring that, politicians have used them as pawns and scapegoats to distract from their own failures. So we have to draw these people out. We have to draw out these fucking enemies. These people that want to destroy us. Draw them out and make them apparent. And then we have to change them and better them and make sure that what we leave behind is better than when we found it. It's the only way to sustain in Colorado. Like, socialism forms in harsh environments because it reduces the need for incest. That's the fundamental root of it. And that's why it formed in Canada. That's why communism formed in Russia. Like that's real communism. And that's the value of it, is because of that family that was governing a town. They were just managers basically, but they were taking a little extra. They had a nice house. Somebody saw it. Some people saw it. They formed a fucking witch hunt and they murdered him. And then they fell into cannibalism. They weren't managed anymore. They weren't producing food. They weren't working. They had a few nice trinkets and a murdered family. And then they all fucking collapsed and dissipated. And I can't find that story anymore. But it was either Ukraine or Russia or Belarus. I don't know. Somewhere up there where it's the most harsh areas. And that's where you need communism. That's why you need socialism in Canada. However, in Colorado, we live in this weird, like, flux. So we have to learn how to amalgamate this. And as a philosopher, I understand the dynamics and how to network all these ideas, but I do not like being a leader. I absolutely hate it, and I hate that if we were to integrate philosophers into our government, they become very manipulative. It's sort of like the fall of Troy, and I forget that guy's name, but he was the advisor. What's that word? Advisor of the king of Troy, and he told him to burn the Trojan horse, but Poseidon, stole him and killed him, sucked him into the sea or whatever they say. And Troy falls. We must abolish ICE. No, we shouldn't. Masked agents. You want to know why they're masked? It's because, hello, Mexico. You're putting people in vats of acid still like fucking Jeffrey Dahmer. Kidnapping innocent people off the streets and disappearing them into ICE facilities. They're being fucking fed and given a free home. Like, if you guys are Americans, take what you learned here and expand. Otherwise, it's contracting. You understand? That's why we're afraid of you. Because you reproduce like fucking rabbits. Instead of upholding your history of Tenochtitlan, moving water to build a floating city of peace. A golden city that was slaughtered through real genocide, by the way. You come here and you liquidate our freedoms. We need to hold the politicians who peddle these lies accountable. Aren't you peddling lies? It's called hypocrisy, bitch. The agency is operating as a terror apparatus targeting immigrant families, asylum seekers, and I real asylum seekers, fine. You're going to travel across the desert to actually become an American. That's fine. If we limit your rights and we say, hey, invest in this country, in 3 generations, your children can vote, then you become an American, right? Don't you understand that? Instead of this impulse of change, you proclaim that you want to be an American, but all you want to do is twist the ball in your fort. Whatever that saying is. Your court, there you go. We need to replace it with a humane, accountable immigration system focused on genuine public safety, not political theater. What? Like I said, hypocrisy. We have seen what a tough on crime immigration system looks like. Oh my god, they're being released. They're not being slaughtered like fucking Nazi Germany. Like they're not concentration camps. They're places to analyze the people that we are integrating into our system and affording freedoms. I'm sorry that you have to go through it for a little bit, but apparently you were escaping something worse and you're still trying to be a member of this society. Don't you understand that? It's time to build an immigration system grounded in dignity and justice, whatever that fucking means. Accessible pathways to citizenship. Learn the language! Learn the fucking rights! The Bill of Rights! There is an accessible pathway to citizenship. Like, we're not fucking mind. We're not a hive mind. I used to, I would never say the Pledge of Allegiance. And my teachers would just laugh. I had the right to argue against them. The cops that I grew up with, I would argue against them. And we would argue and argue and argue and come together. One of them tried to give me a violin. A beautiful French one. I had a very good deal. We had, this really great Hispanic family. They always gave me a lot of shit, the mother and father, but they were very respectable. They were hardworking, good people. They didn't like me. They were racist. However, their children integrated properly into our society. One of them struggled. Very smart kid. I miss him. But I think he's in prison for drug smuggling. And the other one, he too was just a honest fucking fighter, badass. Everybody liked him. He and I got along sometimes. Sometimes we didn't. I couldn't let him into my house because my mother was a hoarder. So he told his parents that, so they wouldn't let me in their house. I would sit outside in the window, by the window, and watch Dragon Ball Z with them. They never invited me over for a meal. They were struggling, but they moved to town, and nobody ever thought twice about it. Good people, genuinely trying to be functional in our society and benefit one another. But this fucking shit, this is radicalism. It's so two-talked that I can reformation of our asylum system, which means that you just want to implement an insurgency so that you can overtake voting structure. Full protection for DACA recipients and TPS holders, and a rejection of the cruel political stunts that dehumanize families. Motherfucker, I have been through more shit than you, I guarantee, unless you got bombed or something. We are greater because of immigrants, not in spite of them. What? What? What kind of immigrants? I really want to know the racial status of it. What is she implying? That's what she needs to be asked. Okay, so what kind of immigrants? Czechs built up Nebraska. Polacks built up Nebraska. Bohemians built up Nebraska, where we get most of our fucking grain that feeds this entire country and a lot of this goddamn planet, actually. Soybeans that are shipped out to fucking China, wherever. China, I think it's that way. And I'm not, this isn't all humor. I just like being a bit dramatic. End all wars. What's that saying? Oh, Woody Allen. Jews start all wars. Did you hear what he said in the Jews start all wars? That movie's so funny. He's fucking brilliant. I love Woody Allen. The United States has spent over $8 trillion on war since 2001, often with little accountability and devastating consequences for the people in the countries we've bombed, as if you are part of we. And for the veterans and families who've paid the price. My family dates back to the founding of this country. I am a we. You don't just show up and get to say we. Unless you mean we as humanity. That's fine. But we as an American means that we will defend that Constitution. That is the most brilliant modern work of philosophy. That is why I spent 5 years balancing in a fucking chair to figure out the laws of free will and a philosophical constitution to govern cognitive life in the universe as we are pursuing expansion. So what are we really working towards, huh? And for the veterans and families who've paid the price at home, war keeps us strong, though. It has its value. You can't be naive to the concepts of for and against any idea. We need to end our military entanglements and stop writing blank checks for endless conflict. If we don't help, people complain. If we try to help, people complain. It's a giant fucking pain in the ass. I mean, like, what the fuck do you want? Let's try giving you something you want. What do you want? You want fucking power. That's all it is. The power to say no to something, right? The power to say yes. The power to take what you want. Every person on this planet experiences these emotions. That means being honest about what our tax dollars are funding. What's more honest than a fucking bomb? I don't really understand. Or an A110. Like, like what's more honest than that? Like, what's more honest than saying that I actually understand what I'm doing? Over 30 billion has gone to support what nearly every major human rights organization in the world has called a genocide in Gaza. Isn't Trump doing something in Gaza where he's trying to build up the infrastructure? That guy is one of the finest business leaders I've ever read about. I did a full network of analysis on his business strategies. And the way he pays his employees, the guy's he's awesome. He earned my respect. I thought he was a fucking joke too because of society being like, Donald Trump, he's orange. He looks like a carrot. As if that fucking means anything. 75% of Democrats want to end military funding to Israel, but to many representatives aren't listening. What? What are you even saying? Like, you're twisting words back and forth. 75% of Democrats want to end military funding to Israel, but too many representatives aren't listening. So, are you saying that you want to end funding or that you don't? I support an immediate and unconditional arms embargo on Israel. What? Arms embargo on Israel, ending all funding to Israel's military, and a just and lasting peace grounded in the equal. Why don't you go to fucking Israel? Go to Afghanistan. Why don't you just unify all the fucking tribes? You goddamn genius. You want to be a saint? There's your place to go and try to do it. People have been trying to do it for thousands of years. It's never going to change. Fucking people. They're so stupid. Oh my god. This is a PhD? What the fuck is her PhD in? No, it won't tell me. It's supposed to be a PhD. Alright, let's read about her. She's from Ethiopia? She doesn't look Ethiopian. She looks Indian. Just weeks before her father was selected by the United States Diversity Visa Lottery? What? The fuck is that? We have a visa lottery? That is absolutely ridiculous. Well, okay, I kind of get it. Okay, interesting. Malak grew up watching her parents struggle to navigate an unfamiliar country, working multiple jobs, pay the bills, and put her father through pharmacy school. Let me tell you something. One of the reasons why we work so hard, just monotonous jobs and stuff, it's literally to network civility. That's all it is. It blends it, amalgamates it. Like, I have spent a lot of time studying what happens to you when you are not social. And let me tell you, having those jobs, Voltaire was right. Okay? Study up on that philosophy. If I could find that fucking definition. Anyway, I can be so dramatic sometimes, I just can't stop laughing at myself. Uh, this has been 48 minutes of me. Anyway, I love Ethiopian food too. It's fucking delicious. Hmm. You cannot allow a weakness of a philosopher to overcome the ideas of thought of mankind as they pretend as if it can be educated into us. These jobs that we perform, being a part of society, being a civilian, stuff like that. I need this piece of these mountains. Like, I need to be up here. I can't be out there with those people. I just don't fit in. But I am selfless and honorable. My my conscience, my conscience is intact. I finally get to learn how to live around mice. I always wanted to be able to live around mice. I think they're cute. I like hamsters. I had a chipmunk that was trapped in here. Anyway, back to what I was reading about her. So she witnessed the power of community as family and friends would lend a hand, but with babysitting, groceries, and jobs. Yeah, right. Soon her parents were able to do the same for others. Bullshit. You kidding me? I was homeless in my car. I went to a food bank because I was broke, and I was playing music, on the mall, anywhere that I could try to busk. Nobody would give me money. I would play for like 8 hours straight, and so I started starving. And I went to a food bank. And in Arizona, food banks will actually give you real food. Some of them have age limits, but uh, you know, the Arizona system is it's brilliant for young people. They try to bring them out of drug abuse and stuff because there's a huge heroin epidemic down there, or it was. I don't know anymore. I haven't been back in a long time, but they had this system for food banks for the homeless and stuff, and they would give you stuff to clean yourself, and it was awesome. They supported the people that were struggling. I mean, I'm living in my car, like I'm starving. Anyway, but the Colorado food bank I went to, this fucking Mexican comes in wearing a brand new hat, probably clad in like $300 worth of clothes, let alone his ostrich skin boots that would cost about 500 fucking dollars. Gets a big bag of free groceries, driving a brand new fucking pickup truck. And what did they give me? Rotten meat. I couldn't eat it, so I had to go back to stealing food to survive, to get nutrients, to get vitamins. All right, here we go. Guided by this commitment to serving others, as if Milat went on to study political science. You want to serve others? You give them the power of strength to defend themselves. You don't take it away because of fear of other people that committed a crime by defining humanity and society as that crime. PhD, my ass. If you take that literally, that's weird. While working as an attorney at a top firm in New York City, Milat witnessed the bravery of the students protesting for Palestine. Like, like I said, like they complain if you try to help, they complain if you don't. Like, why is it any of our fucking business what's going on in Palestine? Like, you don't. Palestine doesn't give a shit what's going on in this country, or they just want to harm Americans. It's pretty fucking typical, isn't it? She decided to write an article defending students and their critique of Israel. After being asked to take down the article or resign, Milat refused and she was fired. Okay, I'll agree with you there. It's pretty fucked up. She may have lost her job, but she was reminded that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, that's a summa cum laude scarf. Reminded that even in the face of seemingly then why is everything that she talks about so fucking stupid? Show up for it as if we're the fucking problem. Do you know what would have happened if we didn't risk every fucking life in America to fucking stop the Nazis in Japan? Like, Japan would not be at peace right now. They would not be the forefront of technology. possible she's attempting to understand all these variables and trying to prevent America from collapsing back into cultural destruction, but people aren't like that. Milat is also currently earning her doctorate in public policy while working as a barista. You can't pay bills and student loans and as a barista. Interesting. I think I wouldn't mind meeting her. Actually, if anyone's qualified to talk to someone like that, it's me. I have to think for a while. I just get a bit passionate, you know. Part of it's a good jest, some of it's just ferocity. Before I end the video, you have to ask yourself, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And where are you going? Those are key traits, some of the self-awareness traits. I found the fourth one, self-incrimination, self-doubt. Fifth one, I forget. It's on my old laptop, but the screen died. But what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And where are you going?